Welcome back, one and all, to the Hearthstone Grand Prix here at DreamHack Valencia. We are just about ready to get underway with round number 3. This is where things really start to get separated out very, very nicely as the players who are going on to a 3-0 record from this point put themselves in a very, very nice position. I have the pleasure for this one for being joined by Mr. Alexander Raven Bagley and Mr. Neil Lorinda Bond. Raven, not often I get to host you from this side of the desk.
It feels weird.
Bit of a role reversal going on right now. How you feeling?
I feel like I should just slowly creep over to this side.
We just swapped, yeah.
Yeah, I'm good. Like you said, I think once we get to round 3 onwards, it becomes very interesting in terms of when losses start to not matter as much. I mean, of course, they always matter, but you get to the point where a loss isn't pretty much you're out of it, because a first round loss is horrendous, but a third round loss, maybe fourth round loss, you can actually still fight back from and stay in the game.
Yep, and it's going to be coming up is a player that we have followed quite extensively. You and I more than most in recent weeks and months. It's going to be Neirea going up against a player that's, I confess, is very unknown to me, a man by the name of Pool8.
Yeah, I've heard of Pool8. I've seen him on something like
You've heard of everyone.
Before, but I haven't had time to dig into the stats, so I can't get you that, I'm afraid.
He hates it. He hates it. You see that gritting of the teeth as he had to admit he didn't have anything on Pool8. We've done it. We've broken the stats, man.
Yeah, well, he is 2-0, so there's something.
Nice.
Yeah, and stats guy over here. He is going up against Neirea. So, you know, there's something else about Pool8. I mean,
we're getting there.
I'm just on a roll at this point. He does play Hearthstone. So that's also a bonus. But yeah, in all seriousness about Neirea, I think he's feeling really, really good about Hearthstone at the moment. I was talking to him first thing this morning, and you know, there was some slight delays in getting everything ready, as you know, but he just seemed really happy, seemed great to play, you know, just continually interested in the game, which sounds kind of weird.
No.
But I feel like, you know, as players who do this permanently, you know, full time, it's very easy to be a bit like, gotta play Hearthstone again today. You know, like, it becomes a little bit grindy, but Neirea, I think, is in a great place.
I think he took a bit of stock late last year and decided, hey, I'm not enjoying this as much as I should if I want it to be my job, and just decided to play slightly less, I believe, and then he's just perked himself up by, hey, this is fresh, this is interesting all the time.
I think you're absolutely right. We spoke to him during an HTT event a couple of months back, and he said, hey, I'm actually not playing that much at the moment. That doesn't mean I'm not taking it seriously, but I'm taking a back seat. I'm watching streams. I'm theory crafting with my practice partners and teammates, and that's how I'm continuing to improve at the game. And then Shanghai event very, very recently, complete 180-degree turn. He said he was playing 5 or 6 hours a day, practicing with RDU as much as he possibly could. It seemed like that break, as you mentioned, Lorinda, had really, really revitalized his passion for the game, and he was back in it in full force. And that's a great thing for the game, because we want to see Neirea around. He's one of the OGs of our scene, right?
I think as well, he, you know, take away the qualification to Worlds, just getting to 2 championships back-to-back is incredible. It cuts top 64 players into a Swiss. We're very similar to what we're playing today, and Neirea qualified twice. So he was at the Bahamas for the Winter Championships, in Shanghai for the Spring, and then obviously, you know, got his point across in the Spring one, but just getting to 2 championships back-to-back was incredible. He can even go to 3 if he wants to continue playing them out.
Yeah, I confess, I'm a little bit annoyed that he qualified.
I know you're planning on this.
Yeah, I'm a little bit annoyed that he qualified for Worlds, because it means he's not 100% motivated to now try and re-qualify for Summer Championships, right? And that would have been an insane story. We play a game where the mark of an incredible player is not one huge result. Right. It's not beating the best the field has to offer one time. It's posting up consistent results week after week, month after month. Nothing just flashes that up in shining lights more than visiting all 3 seasonal championships. So that would have been a story that I would have loved to have been involved in as a commentator. But Neirea, hey, he's just going to have to settle with the consolation prize of now qualifying for the World Championships.
Yeah, and given that what you've just said about the fact how he has rejuvenated himself, it would be crazy for him to put too much time into getting that 3rd qualification if he doesn't need it. It would just be nuts when the World Championships are on the line later on. Yeah,
well, I think what's great is he'll have enough points for playoffs, right? So he'll be going to Summer Playoff.
Free roll, boys!
Yeah, well, no, I mean, seriously, he'll effectively already qualified for Summer Playoffs, so he will be there. And Neirea doesn't strike me as the type of person who would go to a tournament and, you know, like just half-arse it, for example. Like, he will actually play. Whether he, you know, goes hard enough to get there, we'll find out, you know, in a month or month and a half's time. But he is already qualified. So maybe.
Yes, indeed. Many, many stranger things have happened, but we do have some juicy picks and bans on the screen for you. Neirea is running Rogue, which I love to see. Mage and Shaman, and his Druid is banned. Pool8, on the other hand, Druid, Priest, Mage. His Paladin has been eliminated by Neirea. And now, fellows, we have reached the point in proceedings where these players will have bits of information on what's being played, right? These will be more targeted bans because the scouting network will have figured out what these decks are, and there'll be more deliberate bans that are actually more in fitting with the strategy.
Yeah, I said that exact same phrase basically at the start of round 3 in summer, and I spoke to Orange about it afterwards. He was saying actually a lot of the players are learning, or not learning, but a lot of players are sort of not spreading information like they used to as much. So although I agree with you in principle, apparently a lot of the players don't talk about what they played against. It's almost like not a code that you have to obey, but an almost unwritten code of conduct that's happening.
From like the alternate side. So like players are actually saying, oh no, I'm not going to tell you what he was playing because I think that's unfair.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
So there's more of that going on. I don't know how much more.
I wouldn't do that.
No, I don't think you should. I don't think it's necessarily a thing that you need to do.
Right.
But there's just more people doing it.
I think that there's certain situations that are unavoidable, right? Like, you know, say I'm a complexity member and I'm playing in round 3, round 2, another complexity member
You tell each other.
Right, like that. You know, that's almost a contractual obligation to share the information, right? So word will get around. Obviously, as the tournament goes on, more and more players will have played on stream and revealed information as well.
The Priest list from, I say the Priest list, playing Priest, because we don't know the list, from Pool8 really interests me, because in Last Hero Standing, I much prefer taking sweeper-style lineups, and I'm not really sure, we don't know the Priest, of course, it could be anything at this point, but I'm not really sure Priest in general feels like a good class for Last Hero Standing. There are some counters, like, you know, that you can normally just take out a Freeze Mage because you have that much potential heal, but like, other than that, I personally don't feel like there's anything too strong to say, yes, I want to play Priest versus this.
So Last Hero Standing breakdown real quick is like most of the time you want your decks to be 1.5 wins on average plus, but sometimes there's such a dominant deck, like let's say Evolve Shaman right now, that you happily put in a 1-for-1 deck, right? So you say, I'm going to hard counter Shaman with this Priest and then just lose the next match, and that's absolutely fine. So maybe that's the case, but we do not have to wait too long to find out because the players are ready. We're going to get straight into the action, and you will have the pleasure for this one being joined by Raven and Lorinda. Take it away, guys.
And we're going to be ready to go get into this series very, very quickly. Neirea versus Pool8, in case you didn't catch that. I'm looking forward to this. I genuinely just want to see what Neirea's got. And he's already 2-0 at the moment, so seeing if he can go 3-0 and just stomp another Swiss, it's going to be kind of great.
Something I like about the early stages of Swiss when it's like rumbling along. Yeah, we've had some power matchups today where we've had some big matchups, but sometimes you get a match like this where there's a guy you haven't really heard of, playing a guy you've most definitely heard of.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see how they cope with their big breaks. Some people just crack under the pressure. It sounds silly, oh, he's 2-0, he can play Hearthstone. Sometimes, under that lot, it's sometimes a bit difficult. Yeah,
I actually personally like the approach, and it's something I would do if I was still competing that often, is actually, say I was going against Neirea, I'd be like, well, I've got, you know, as say I was a new player or an unheard of player, I'm like, I've got a lot to gain and not a lot to lose other than the actual match, if that makes sense. Like, if Neirea beats me, it's probably an expected result. If I beat Neirea, then I beat Neirea on stream in DreamHack. Like, you know, you're feeling pretty great about that, and you progress 3-0. We are going to get into the first game, of course. It's going to be the Pool8 on this Priest, so we get to see what's going on there, and then Neirea on the Shaman. And already, it does look like Evolve Shaman. There's an Evolve, there's a Primal Fin.
Yeah, no surprise that it's a very grindy-looking Priest. He banned the Druid, so it wasn't going to be a silence-based Priest for the most part, because those tend to beat Druid. And so it looks like he is just going to grind this out, and against the Shaman, if he can get a good start, he might be in an okay spot.
Yeah, I think the one of the things we saw in a previous series was that just the AoE not really being there for Priest to deal with Shaman a lot of the time. There is Dragonfire, of course, but you need to kind of save it for the Doppelgangster Evolve turn, because often, like, well, Holding Over does nothing versus the 6-drops, and sometimes Dragonfire doesn't either. So I feel like it can be very, very tough for Priest to manage this board. Tar Creeper is a good way to go, though, early on.
Yeah, it's just a case of whether you want to use that coin and feel like that's going to get you ahead, or whether you want to save it for your 5-drops that you have in hand. Still interesting to me that Dragon Priest has managed to survive with almost no dragons.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It's completely silly. I mean, it's good, right? If we can build cards that you only need a few of to make the deck work without it being overly powered, I think that's really good.
Yeah, Primordial Drake has a lot to answer for this expansion.
It sure
Definitely
does.
allowed a lot of things to happen in the game.
I feel like people didn't notice how good it was immediately. A lot of people, I mean, there'll be people saying now, I noticed. Well, yeah, a lot of people did notice it was going to be good, but nobody knew how good.
Yep.
But in recent times, I think it's just started to lose a little bit. Like, it gets played as one of in Druid sometimes now because of curator memes and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think curator makes it very powerful as well. Do see in hand now. Neirea's Jade Claws did get cleaned up very nicely by the Ooze, but this, return sort of hit with the Flame Tongue means that everything's looking pretty even here. Neirea with the Flame Tongue has a good follow-up next to him with just Hero Power into Primal Fin, and also just has that Doppelgangster evolve ready for turn 6, which is going to be pretty much what Pool8 has to beat Neirea in this game. And
that's where Priest as a control deck is so much different to, say, Warrior, where as Neirea's situation, you just dump that down on the table a lot of the time, and you're going to get something that survives the Dragonfire if they've got it, and if they haven't, you win the game.
Yeah. Already, Neirea's starting to build the board here. Pool8 has to think about how he wants to use this hand, his piece together. Could just go Cleric, heal, if he wants to trade in. But the problem is he didn't kill anything with this Tar Creeper, so he'd literally be just, drawing a card this turn, which he can do other ways with like powered shield. So I wonder if actually Pool8 just goes for the Nether Spite just to get it on the board. It helps clear up the 1/1s. And also just brings him another dragon, so Operative is going to be live next turn. Because at the moment, it's not.
Yeah, and then it's a case whether he wants to bump for 1 point of damage anyway, or whether he just wants to play the shield and put up this massive wall, but also start to just draw into some better cards for after turn 5.
Yeah, if he bumps, he has to heal. Because if he bumps, and then it just means the Murloc just kills it. The Murloc kills the Tar Creeper. So he does have to heal if he bumps, or he just gives away too much value.
Something he needs to be planning here is how he wants to use his Shadow Visions and Elise, because that's a very long-term game. But if he does stabilize, we've seen earlier, the Shaman can just start again and give you more problems. So if he can look after the Elise and the Shadow Visions, it may be that comes into play way down the line. And I wouldn't be surprised if he just spent a lot of that time then actually wondering, can I be greedy with those 2 cards and just try and answer this any other way?
Devolve coming down now. It's actually just there. Just is this Tar Creeper to an insignificant amount of health, especially with Maelstrom. And this is all just setting up for the Doppelgangster evolve turn now.
Yeah, this is just saying I've got, it always says in Shaman, I've got Bloodlust, how are you going to deal with it? Force your opponent to do inefficient, nasty things, and then drop down the combo.
Yeah, and now Pool8 just has to play Elise because he doesn't have the Dragon for Draconid Operative, because he didn't play the Nether Spite last turn.
Yeah, and that was something you were suggesting, and that would have made sense. Now he'd been able to play the Draconid Operative, maybe pick up... Oh, there's so many Shaman cards you could pick up that would help you out here.
This is huge, though. This evolve, and because the second one's been drawn, the second one can be used as almost a refresh/heal on the minions if they don't die this turn. Because you could oh my god, Reckless Rocketeers. And that's a pretty decent evolve, actually.
That's nice, isn't it? It's not completely nuts, but it's definitely a good one.
Even like Duskboar, it's just 4 damage. I mean, it's sick.
I'm sure that you only read the left-hand number on each card when you play Hearthstone.
I do when the priest can't do anything about the right-hand number. Look at Pool8's hand. What's he going to do about Duskboar? Get wrecked.
He's going to get wrecked.
Especially because there's a taunt here, it means there's, we just see Potion Madness now. There's like, wow, Pool8 could just gain an additional card with the Potion of Madness into the Tempest. But it doesn't actually kill off the 4/3.
And none of these are options that he'll want to take. Throwing away your Priest of the Feast feels like it's just chucking it into oblivion, but...
This could just be game.
Yeah, it's really close to just being over.
You have to Shadow Visions for a Dragonfire. I think you just have to.
Actually, you're not going to use it this turn, so you can wait 1 turn. In case you draw it.
No, you can't. Because if you do it next turn, you can't use it because of the mana.
So you have to
6 mana.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. Shadow Visions this turn, so you can cast it next turn.
No, you're right. That's what I think was the right play.
Prize. It's a spell. Yeah, I think so what's happening next turn, because it isn't an AoE. And
I think that the Nether Sprite was a thing that you were pointing out there. When you don't play many dragons anymore, you've got to generate them yourself. That Operative could be really important right now. Like, a Devolve wouldn't be that great, but there'll be other cards that you can use from Shaman.
Look at this now. They can just be the 5/5 and the 1/1 go into the Priest, and then just go face for what? how much damage? I mean, how much damage has he just got total, actually? There's 9, so 16, 21.
Yeah, 5, 6, yeah.
I think you just trade the priest away, and then you could go all in and then just evolve again. Probably not now. He's going for this play, so he's going to hold the evolve.
Yeah, I don't think you need to, right? You could just save it because you're in such a strong spot. They either deal with all this stuff incredibly or they just don't.
I was just thinking because Holy Nova actually wrecks most G board this turn if it's drawn. That's something you can Shadow Visions for now. Can Shadow Visions for Holy Nova. And now it has more of an impact because all but the 7/6 will die. And the Mana Tide, I guess.
Now the Nether Spite. Primordial Drake for next turn.
Kind of like Holy Nova.
If there is a next turn. It is kind of like Holy Nova.
I don't know. I think Pool8 needed to fish for AoE. There's a reason you run Shadow Visions in your deck, right? So you can fish out key spells at any given time.
Yeah, and it goes back to the Elise comment I made. It's like it's all right being greedy with that, which is what you want to try and do, but you've got to find a way to do that that doesn't involve dying.
Well, there was the turn 6. Oh no, it was turn 5, right?
Yeah.
I think you could have just played Nether Spite and Shadow Visions.
I think in hindsight, I know you said it at the time anyway, but I think in hindsight, if he had played that, he wouldn't be in a worse spot now. And he would have had a Dragon, he'd be able to play the Operative as a 5/6. The Elise would be in hand in case he stabilizes for a later game option.
Yeah.
The Shadow Visions wouldn't be such a desperation play. I mean, you can't just die. You might as well use the Shadow Visions. I mean, yeah, and you're going to.
No, Bo. He found a way to deal the 1.
Yeah. I knew that was never.
Not that it matters. So that's really quick game there. Neirea showing a dominant performance on the Shaman, but to be completely honest, I feel like Pool8 missed a trick there. He had a turn he could have got Nether Spite down and had the Operative instead of the Elise. Because against Evolved Shaman, are you really expecting Elise to go late? You know, like, you have to draw the pack.
Exactly.
It was literally on turn 5, so it says early as you can play Elise without going.
But you would rather play the Operative.
That's what I'm saying.
Really would, yeah.
The Operative gives you a card draw right there and then that you can choose from.
And also, Nether Spite 1/3 is okay.
Yeah, it's fine. It could just tick away the Murlocs. And Operative's got 6 health and Elise has 5. And we actually saw like a trade for the 5 into it. The Reckless Rocketeer wouldn't have killed the Operative. There you go.
Job done.
Yeah. Solved. Next game.
Next match, yeah. We're done with this one. It's all over. Okay, so Pool8's got a decent-looking start here with his Mage deck. And we all know roughly what this is going to be. It's going to be some variant on Gunther Discover Burn, or whatever you want to call it these days.
Mage.
You're still calling it Mage?
I mean...
Yeah. Maybe still calling it.
It can have any mixture of... I mean, like, there's about 20 cards that are set and 10 cards you can just close your eyes and choose at this point.
Yeah, I mean, we even saw like variations on Freeze now, including Mage bits or not, and whatever. Whatever you feel fits the meta, which is great, right? It means you can take the toolkit you need.
I actually love Mage at the moment. I think Mage is in a great place in the game. I do like this Valet play as well. Against Token Shaman, you just need to get stuff on the board and start beating it down. And Neirea has a very, very slow opening.
Yeah, I was going to call it Grim was the word that was going through my mind.
I'm okay with Grim as well, I know.
It's, you don't usually get behind the Mage in this situation. You don't beat it very often, but you normally at least get a flying start. And if you're getting behind this early against Mage, you have really got your work cut out.
See Neirea there showing off his shiny golden celebration card back.
And I would too.
I would like that card back, I'll be honest. One day.
You should get it, right? You cast Neirea, it's a good, same thing.
One day Raven will return to his professional
Oh,
player.
you actually got to go back to your roots and start playing like professionally again?
Next DreamHack, I'll be there.
Cool, I'll cast you.
Seems good. Ping now. I mean, to be honest, ping Valet face. Why not? You're getting to the point where you just have the damage to kill him. Shaman can't heal.
Yeah, and you might as well get the board as well. And here he goes.
Just get him. That's 5 damage. There's 20 health left, and there's, what, 15 of it in hand.
And having the 2 attack minions against Shaman on the board is really important because a lot of their comeback is from 0/3s. So if you can ping that and hit it with a minion, that's lovely. Job done.
Sold. And now, I think Pool8 should ignore this Mana Tide. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter anymore.
I understand what you're saying, but I think he won't, and I don't think he should. I think you've got to kill it.
No, you really don't.
How much have you got? So
there's 18. He has 15. Now 20 in hand.
Okay.
Just kill him. Fireball this. Yeah, I love it. Go face.
Sure.
Yeah,
sure,
this is great.
The cards aren't going to be useful in time.
No, you just kill him. The draws don't matter anymore.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I actually love this play from Pool8. I mean,
It was necessary because it gets the exact lethal setup as well for next turn. So
Yeah, Shaman at the moment, unless there's like Stonehill into Hot Spring, Shaman is very much similar to playing against Rogue. They have damage permanent, so any damage you do sticks. So when you have a hand that's full of burn and you get the board early, go face and kill them. Like 100% of the time. And we are going to see pretty much this game get wrapped up very easily here. Next turn there's going to be a ping. Neirea will know it. And unless he draws Stonehill into Hot Spring, he cannot survive. And even then, if you drew the Hot Spring, we can see that there's the Violence Portal in hand that will clear it up anyway. And wow, what? Neirea just didn't do anything all game.
No.
Oh, can he evolve into anything? Oh, he can get nothing that actually saves him because we can see Violence.
The funny thing is, if that had been game 1, it may have been correct for Pool8 not to kill him that way because it looked like a control deck.
Yeah.
But he knew because he'd already played against it his last hero standing, so he knew what to do. It was the right play. But yeah, if that had been game 1, he may have actually just traded off there.
Sure. I mean, it could have been Elemental, yeah.
It could have been any old nonsense, right? Anyway, it's going to go to 1 game all, and
can evolve into double Lightwell.
Sure.
I mean, you do it, right?
You've got to say it. Yeah,
if you've got a chance, why not do it?
If it's an option, you should go for it.
If he gets double Lightwell, he does live, and he doesn't.
If he gets double Lightwell, plenty of other things will probably happen.
Sure. You never know, though, because if there's double Lightwell, then Violence face to 1, he can't ping, and then double Lightwell heals again.
Ooh.
No, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, and then suddenly look at the damage on the board. He could have propped the block with Bloodlust and win the game. So you definitely made the play, but it wasn't meant to be as Pool8 takes a very quick return point against Neirea.
And I think we sometimes overplay it a little bit, but just looking at the players there, I think Pool8 needed that one. I mean, you always need it, but I think mentally he looked like he was a little bit nervy to me.
Yeah, well, I think as well, going against someone as good as Neirea, and, you know, like Sol said at the beginning, Neirea's OG at Hearthstone, basically, and when the game starts off with just a 1-0 where you pretty much got wrecked, to be completely honest, then you're like, oh, God, I'm just going to get stomped on stream by Neirea. But getting the 1 win is like, you know what? Okay, I can do this. So mentally, it's probably helped him out.
The other thing, again, with a lot of these players, they've come a long way to play this. They are good Hearthstone players, like nearly all of them. And you're aware when you're struggling of your own mistakes so much, it just makes you worse. Like, the second he makes a mistake in that game, he's like, why did I do that? Why didn't I play the Netherspite Historian? And it would just make you feel even worse.
It's often better, believe it or not, for most players to not realize the mistakes they've made in a game. Because it doesn't tell them as much.
Then they just play their best the whole game. But if you sit there and you go, why didn't I do that? And I'm pretty sure he knew he messed up the first game a little bit. Like, it just can play on your mind because you're well aware of it.
I do like the hold of the Mana Worm. You're just asking for trouble if you just play Mana Worm into Mana Worm. And now he can Mana Worm coin Frostbolt. And he knows now that there's got to be a thought like, what are the odds on Neirea having a 3-drop spell? Because if he can go, we can see, of course, that there's Mana Worm, coin Frostbolt, sets him up very nicely against the opponent's Mana Worm when there's no spells he can play. But Doomsayer is probably the overall safer option.
And with Doomsayer and Acolyte Pain, we know which sort of mage this is now. It's just a hybrid freeze mage. The original-ish hybrid freeze mage, of which there are many, but last year we didn't see any of that. We just saw stuff hitting face.
Yeah, I think overall, I like this version the most.
I do agree.
I think Frost Nova Doomsayer is a hell of a combo.
It does pain me to agree with you, but I do like it. Would you prefer Medivh or would you prefer Archmage?
I personally prefer Medivh, but
okay, so we do differ slightly.
Yeah. I mean, some decks have played both. Some of the Chinese players were playing both.
I have no issue. Put good cards in your deck and play them well.
I would now. Look at this. There's something pretty funky you can do. Nothing too crazy, but Mana Worm Coin Acolyte puts 2 priority targets on the board.
Okay.
And you didn't see much from Neirea outside the 2 minions. So, you know, maybe go for it. Pool8 holding on to the coin.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know.
Maybe
he's intellect next turn.
Yeah, he's got intellect anyway, though. So maybe he's being a bit cheeky here and seeing if he can get away with this one. And then, yeah, if he can't, then intellect. If you can, well, cheekiness is good.
How sick wouldn't it this turn would have been if you had the Mana Worm down?
I do think that maybe Mana Worm was tempting there, though. Because you wanted to sneak damage. It would be all right here, though, as well, to be fair.
Yeah, but now I think, I mean, if you coin, great. But I think you want to ping your Acolyte Frostbolt, Neirea's Acolyte.
Sure. Yep.
Because just playing Valet probably doesn't do too much, especially when you're edging towards the turns that you can play Secret Valet in the same turn.
This is awkward, right? Because you do want to get that Mana Worm developed.
Oh, Mana Worm coin, Fireball, Frostbolt ping. Like, I kind of like it.
Coin gives you the first Alex, though.
You could have just done the 15 damage by the time you Alex anyway, if
I
if you had Mana Worm down.
I find it so hard with you because I know that you're actually being serious and it makes sense, but I also know you like to just hit people in the face. But I know it makes sense.
Both options are completely correct. I am being serious about hitting people in the face.
Yeah, seems good. Never let you down before, and yeah, this time he does go with a coin, so that means he could have done it last turn, like you said.
Could have hit for, what, 4 this
Yeah.
turn? Well, an additional 4, should I say? Huh, okay. Oh, ooh, okay. So we can see that, you know, obviously we've got slightly biased vision, because we can see that Neirea, in fact, does not have an answer to Mana Worm. But now he does have a few options. He does have the Archaeologist, which is very important just to get the secrets live.
Yep.
But he has already played one Medivh's Valet, which means that the value of the secret being live, you know, is lessened a tiny amount, not tons, because you play a secret because it's a good secret. But anyway, having the 2-3 on the board is going to contest this Acolyte pretty nicely.
Yeah, and just instantly plays, not
Yeah,
instantly.
just get it
Very
on. Yeah,
briefly
yeah,
checks, then plays it, makes sure nothing silly happens.
Well, he might be even planning to just play play Meteor next turn, which means that you then secret's delayed by 2 turns, not 1, and then so on, so on.
So Pool8's got a decision to make here of how much damage he feels he can do with his hand. Like with his minions, sorry, not with his hand. Obviously he can do a lot of damage, that's the whole point. And this is a lot of damage this Mana Worm can chip into the face.
Yeah, I really like getting early damage on, because then Alexstrasza can be used defensively.
Needs to know what he's playing around as well, which makes it a bit more difficult. Hasn't seen a great deal of invasion. He has seen the Acolyte, so he knows it's probably a freezy version, but actually we can see it's not so much.
Okay, well now Pool8 has the Archaeologist to draw a secret and get that Medivh's Valet live eventually. Wow. Now he's just forced to just Meteor. So Acolyte's gained 2. Mana Worm's done, what, 5? Could have done like 9.
Just looking at the hands, they look
Could have
almost
done 9.
identical,
I know,
even though they're playing different
it's very
decks.
weird.
Could have done
Ooh.
9 damage. That is a lot of damage.
Look at this now. The Archaeologist into Secret. Ice block's perfect. Next turn, he can Ice block, Valet, Valet. Or just wait, of course, now and use, like, you know, Violence.
Yeah, oddly enough, Pool8 is just going to be able to curve from this point, which is really unusual in this particular deck. But he's got through those awkward turns 4, 5, 6.
Ooh, that's a big deal, though. Eater of Secrets in Neirea's hand.
Sure.
That's actually huge.
I mean,
that can make a matchup that you're behind just a win out of nowhere.
There's the Ooze and the Eater are the 2 big tech cards. I think most people are playing Eater now. I'm not so sure how many play Ooze these days, but still some.
It's very difficult, isn't it? Because if you're expecting a lot of Mage, which I think everyone will expect, because Mage is good, it's one of those things where, like, especially Sottle would hate Eater of Secrets and does hate Eater of Secrets. But if you go into a tournament and you're expecting everyone else to play it, you put yourself at a disadvantage if you're not playing it, right? Because the second you have to do a mirror or whatever, then you're slightly behind.
And the fact it's last hero standing means you can get into that match you want. So you can play the Eater of Secrets, or your opponent, more to the point, your opponent can play into you with their Eater of Secrets.
Exactly, yeah. Well, exactly what's happened, right? Pool8 won, so Neirea's picked his Mage into Mage.
Interesting. I do think it's interesting to see if they are playing Ooze as well, because that's also mainly anti-Mage tech. Obviously, it's good against Pirates. We can see that.
Well, we saw Ooze from Pool8. He oozed the Shaman J-Claws.
So that might be an advantage for him in this Medivh.
Yeah, this is...
But it needs to come now.
Okay. So this is going to be the weirdest game of chicken ever, because Neirea has a guaranteed, like, kill setup to a certain extent because of the Eater of Secrets. But does he think Pool8 has Eater of Secrets? Because if so, then you kind of need to deal with the board. Yeah, I was thinking, do you just go 7 face with Medivh? Just Violence Portal, you create a 5-drop, a 7-drop, and have a 7/7, and just say, let's do this?
So you've got to work out, obviously the way you work out your stats from this point on is to work out, first of all, how bad is it if I start trading here? Like, can I win that game anyway? And if you feel that it's okay, if you feel like you're 45% with the Eater making it a lot higher, then you're fine, right? Then there's the whole thing, do I think this guy will play Eater of Secrets? Pool8, not a big name. So all Neirea has to work on is the 2 matches he's seen, plus the fact the guy's 2-0, remember that. And all those things will factor into him taking this decision.
Yeah, and a taunt isn't bad. A second Ice block does change things. Ooh. Okay. Novice engineer, calm down. Oh, okay. Counter spell as well is huge. So Neirea is battling for the board. He said, you know what? I get the first crack at the medieval weapons, or the weapon procs. So I'm going to build the board. And now, you know, an extra ice block, a counter spell to stop, even if there's Eater of Secrets, if the burst is spell damage, it just locks that out as well. Huh. Okay.
And also by getting the board, it's not the damage you're delivering. He's got plenty of damage. It's the damage you're not taking if you are scared of that Eater.
100%.
So.
And this hot spring was huge. Just because it soaks the chip damage from the minions, which is the most dangerous thing in this matchup. The minions getting damage in change everything.
Well, that's what you say about that Mana Worm that could have been played on turn 3 with the coin.
It could have been an extra 4 or 5 damage.
That's a lot of damage that would now be setting up almost lethal situations.
Block would be procced, right? Because there'd be an additional 4, so you could just fireball and a second fireball and get him. You can still do that.
Get him.
Oh, Doomsayer. What if you ever Frost Nova? Oh no, you can proc the block. Yeah, sorry. I always forget about the swing of the weapon.
It's because you don't use it almost ever. Yeah.
So this is not technically wrong.
Because it could be barrier. No, we knew.
Yeah,
he
didn't check for barrier, right?
Right. So if he goes in with the one first, yeah, then he can save his fireball and start taking down minions with it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he might have Novad.
Or he might
to guarantee a Doom, well, not guarantee, but try get the Doomsayer off.
Yeah.
And then proc the block after as well. So I don't know. It's definitely a tough one. It looks technically incorrect, not proccing the block at 1.
It does.
But we knew it was ice block. So, you know, with that extra knowledge, that's fine. If it was other secrets, then maybe you do have to swing first.
And it's not like he's got an issue dealing with that now. He still has the ping and the fireland next turn. So. Yeah, if there's another block, he can proc that one at 1. If there's not, he kills his opponent. So both those two things are good.
But now, the counter spell. Well, Neirea's not going to go counter spell. He's going to go block. But the counter spell potentially next turn could really help out.
Yeah, because now that is where you'd rather proc at 1, of course. And
this is tough.
It's going to be a problem. You can do most of the damage using the Frost Nova first, and then just Firelands. Or more to the point, Frost Nova first, then ping. But you've got to be aware of that counter spell, which of course he will be. It's a very common card in a lot of these decks.
Does have to go for it, though. He can't just not proc the block, right?
Yeah, I think you've got to go for it. Like, you've seen one block. Half the time it's the counter spell, half the time it's the block.
And if he was counting, you'll know it wasn't a natural block. Let's go for it. Block gets procced, and has Neirea just got there now? Oh, he's not actually, no. So, what does he need to do to get around this? Was that another block?
That is another
Oh my
block.
God, he drew another block. That's absolutely huge now, because now he can set it up so that Fireball and the Eater of Secrets plus ping gets him this win. And unless there's a Eater of Secrets back, and there isn't.
That's absolutely
the
unbelievable.
Sickest of draws for Neirea. He needed 3 blocks to get it done.
He got 3 blocks.
And an Eater of Secrets.
Yeah.
Because obviously he would just pre-proc the block again this turn and still die. Pre-proc the block. Pre-proc the block. That's hard to say. Sounds like a song lyric. Yeah. Oh, he can just Alex Straza though.
Yeah, we both missed this.
Oh my. I'm getting too excited about the ice block draw. Extra coins mean. Okay, no, okay, so.
Whoops.
Now Pool8 has won. Okay, that reversed very quickly. I didn't even see the Alex Straza in the hand.
I think we both zoned in on the fact they both got lethal damage.
Yeah.
You just rule Alex Straza out, which was really bad. And yep, back in it.
It's not going to get there. Now he's going to lose. Pyroblast his own face? No? Okay.
Pyroblast casters. So going to be 2-1.
Just going to double check that it is in fact ice block, because he technically has lethal.
Yeah.
But we know it is, of course.
And he knows it is as well, but he'd be silly not to check in case he's been bluffed senseless by something completely silly like potion polymorph. I don't know. What could have been there all game.
Neirea picking his mage into Pool8's mage and whiffing is not good for him in this series.
Losing your counter match, never good at all.
And I'll tell you what, I love playing mage against rogue.
Even I can play mage against rogue.
It's great.
Even I just get them.
Yep, it's absolutely awesome. But Neirea is an exceptional player, so maybe he can navigate it out. It only takes one big early Edwin, and then suddenly that damage is just too much. Not too much of a surprise is his Miracle Rogue from Neirea. One, he told me earlier he was playing it anyway, but also, you know, we talked a lot about the Quest Rogue nerf and what that means for the meta overall.
Just looking at this lineup, Shaman, Mage, Rogue are the 3 decks he's playing. That's pretty weak against Mage. You've got a 50-50. And then you've got Rogue and Shaman.
Yeah.
You're not in a great spot against Mage in general in this lineup.
Because he's just relying on that Eater of Secrets, getting him.
I mean, that's what you have to do, right? When your lineup has a hole, first of all, you try and patch that hole by using your classes, and then you try and patch the hole by using tech within the decks you've got. Yep. And he tried to patch it a little bit with Eater, but that's not really patching a hole, that's just equalizing in a lot of cases.
This play here from Pool8 is actually very important for Neirea. Not having an Arcanologist is huge.
Okay.
Because he just hallucinated Frostbolted the Mana Worm, and then Neirea doesn't have an answer to Arcanologist. If Arcanologist hits once, it's pretty good for the Mage. If it hits twice, it's ludicrous for the Mage. If it's 3 times, you know, well, the Rogue just loses normally because it's so much early chip damage. And like I said, it's the same in Shaman. It's just damage permanents against Rogue. You just get them. But not having that Arcanologist means Neirea has a window to work with, and he is landing the first awkward minion to deal with now.
Yeah, this thing is obviously awkward. Like, the fact it just comes back was overlooked when people did card reviews. I've heard yours. When people did card reviews of Sheridan, it's like, it's 5-3 for too much mana. You might reactivate it once, who cares? It just turns out that the whole metagame is much more value-based than people expected, and actually getting one of these back once isn't the end of it. First of all, that's value, but actually games go longer if you get it back twice or 3 times.
Yeah, I think for me, the main thing that I thought might have been a struggle, as Antonidas is drawn from Swashbuckler, I actually thought getting the 4 spells or the 4 cards in a turn was going to be quite hard, even as Rogue, but I did underestimate it because of cards like Hallucination, you know, like the Razor Petal from the Lasher. It actually is relatively easy to do.
And you were still living in a world, back then it's easy to say now, but back then you're living in a world where games finish on turn 6.
Exactly,
so you don't get to turn 9 and go, oh, I've got 4 spells hanging about. You're using those spells to keep alive. I like it when cards are misvalued, not because people misvalue because they're silly, but they misvalued them just because the meta's so different to what anyone could think. It's great.
Okay, well, the Valley does clean up the Sherazin. You can't pull off a safe Doomsayer this turn, so it's definitely not a good option. It just seems reasonable.
Yeah, building up the hand, and plenty of damage accumulating already, and plenty of minion damage to back up.
That's a good one. If this spell is cheap enough, or card is cheap enough.
That's cheap.
Yeah, he can just get it off now.
He likes spells.
Bring back Sherazin. Oh, even better.
Wow.
Oh, this value.
And although this lot dies to Blizzard, it's really cost Neirea almost nothing to put this board down. It's just like,
And Sherazin doesn't.
Yeah, he's forced this Blizzard most likely, or at least a reaction.
Oh, Frostnova Doomsayer might be better.
Frostnova Doomsayer.
Well, Frostnova Doomsayer locks out that like Gadget Zen style turn, even though he's seen 2 hallucinate now.
Sure. I do feel you've got to save the Frostnova for Giants and for Edwins, though. Because you might want to do other things on the same turn, so using up the Blizzard now, because it's expensive, is probably a good idea.
Sure. It's one of the reasons why Sol was playing Miracle Rogue not too long ago, and turns like we just saw of just truly silly things happening, you managing new resources, is actually the deck that makes the deck a lot of fun to play. Because you just you have new resources that you don't normally play with, and you have to manage those and work out what's the best pick at this moment. What do I plan for the late game? Talking of late game, Neirea's just slammed a Giant, and they're suddenly starting to add up to a lot of threats, and we can see there are answers to Frostnova Doomsayer as well.
As a Frostnova Doomsayer and an Antonidas that's going to stick to the board and just go nuts still at some point, waiting to unleash, and taken no damage, which is unheard of in this matchup.
But there is Alexstrasza in hand for Pool8.
Sure, like he's been playing
that's the difference. If you have Alexstrasza and you can just control the board, then you just Alexstrasza and kill them. So it's not as vital, but yeah, the early damage is always nice. It puts the Rogue under a bit of pressure. And now this Sherazin is just more than likely going to come back again. I wonder if you just start with Mimic Pod, see what happens.
You can afford to, so you might as well.
Yeah, I think you do. Because you might not want to play minions based on what you draw.
Yeah. Oh, never mind. Or you might draw double Vilespine.
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely perfect. Mimic Pod into Vilespine, having 1 spare. Guarding the board, it means Sherazin isn't prot this turn, but that Giant is relatively safe. And this this is a problem you can fall into with this mage deck, is you can get locked out of playing Medivh because you just don't have the turn to play it. Now, it would be a nice turn if that Doomsday went off, Medivh, and then you look in a hugely strong position, but couldn't play it, had to clear the board. And now what's Neirea going to do? Probably play some more threats. Okay, I can't play Medivh again. And suddenly you end the game with Medivh in hand. And it is one of the drawbacks of the card.
So Pool8's going to be drawn away from Medivh there and just be staring at this Alex saying, can I get it done?
Yeah. Exactly, yeah.
That's all he's got. And he's got a good chance. He's got plenty of damage. Neirea's launching everything at face here, not just to generate fireballs, but because every point's going to matter. He knows he's probably got a race in some situations.
I mean, can Pool8 even...
Oh,
okay.
No, that's probably the end of this.
Yeah, now he can Alexstrasza, so now he just wins.
This isn't eat
Wow,
secrets game. That's too much as well. Yeah, it's just over.
Sometimes this happens because I think Neirea's played the game very well. And Pool8's played well, you know, don't get me wrong.
Yep.
But Neirea's played a fairly complex game on his end, you know, doing some tricky stuff with all the picks and the hallucinations and swashbucklers. And then Pool8's like, meh, Alexstrasza, fireball,
I can
crossbow.
count to 15
Yeah.
because I can do 6, 6, and 3.
And I genuinely wonder how long it'll take, maybe next expansion, depending on cards, for Rogue to run healing again.
I've been wondering that for 3 months. And obviously during that time, we've had Cavern, so
Well,
it's
can
been
you get
fine.
Ice Block? Frostbolt's not going to do it.
Did you get another go anyhow?
No. 2 hallucinates used, 2 swashbucklers used, Mimic Pod's gone. There's no, you know, share is it, oh my god, what's the card called? Shaku is not on the board.
Right, so no
there's
stuff.
no options here. And, you know, a crazy sell there from Neirea ended up with that Antonidas. But we can see, you know, Mage does Mage things a lot of the time. And Pool8 is going to take a 3-1 victory over Neirea. So that's actually looking pretty huge for him.
Yeah, it really is. It's interesting, actually, because it's not like Rogue is jam full of amazing 3-drops in terms of healing and stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe we will see the return of the Earthen Ring Farseer.
Because, like, you look,
a staple.
you look at this hand, 1 Farseer being played wins Neirea the game, right?
Yeah.
Like, one Farseer plus 3 healing means that 15 can't happen. Game. So, you know, I do wonder, maybe the new expansion, you know, has some more either neutral or maybe even rogue healing cards. Maybe not rogue healing cards because it just seems
that
wrong.
Would be kind of odd.
But, you know, maybe there is some healing cards. A big part of Death Knights is actually healing. They do a lot of self-healing themselves. So, you know, maybe we'll see some healing cards come out and that might help out Rogue a little bit because it's something that Mage is just good at. It's just a surefire way. Like, oh, you will never heal in this game. Great. How much damage do I have in hand? How many turns do I have? Face, 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 win. You know, it's as simple as that.
Yeah, they may need to find a way to just not have that happen. Even if it's not healing, they need to find a way to generate some
Bring back Lotheb. Done.
There you go.
Everyone loved Lotheb, let's be honest. Lotheb was a great card.
Solution.
What matchup have we got coming up next?
We've got Sivka versus Live On, both of whom are regular players. Stan Sivka, everybody knows. Live On is a player who goes to a lot of tournaments. He does a lot of casting in his own language as well. And so we see him from time to time. And people will probably recognize him, despite the fact that he's going, who? Right
Yeah,
now.
no, you definitely will. He's, like you said, he's played in a lot of tournaments, a lot of online cups as well, posting pretty good finishes on the ladder. And Stan Sivka, I'm looking forward to seeing what he's actually brought to this tournament, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
He's always a great one to watch, especially in DreamHack, because the last hero standing adds a bit of an extra twist to the way you build your lineup. And we are going to be going into game number 2. Livon is actually 1-0 up versus Stan Sivka, and we'll be able to find out pretty shortly, you know, what deck he won with, because that'll be the deck he's playing, and we'll find out what deck Sivka actually lost with. So looking forward to getting this one. I always don't like it when I go long periods of time without casting Stan Sivka. He's actually a very interesting player to, one, talk about in terms of just deck building, a very skilled player, but also a lot of he's one of the players where the plays he makes, often I'm sat there going, huh. Oh, okay. You know what I mean? It's like he's that good that you need to sit and think about it a lot of the time.
Yeah, I saw him out there a few minutes ago before the round started. Guess what he was doing?
Eating a banana.
He was actually eating. I challenged him about it. He said he's saving the bananas for the game, but he was eating bread.